It's time to look up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here for our Epic Film Guys spoiler-free review of James Gunn's Superman. LoySauce, how you feeling right now?
I'm buzzing. I'm excited.
I'm feeling pretty super myself, actually.
Oh, brother.
I had to go for it. I had to do it last night. Finally got the opportunity, courtesy of Warner Brothers Pictures, to see Gunn's Superman, arguably one of my most anticipated movies of the entire year. Probably one of my most anticipated comic book movies in many years. And I have to say right off the bat, I walked out of that movie theater smiling ear to fucking ear. Superman is a winner. I think that James
You're
Gunn...
a paid shill.
What's that?
You're a paid shill. That's not your real opinion. Warner Brothers paid you to say that.
Clearly. I've actually had to say, not defend myself rather, but reply to a few people claiming such things. I said, listen, I drove an hour and a half, paid money out of my own pocket for gas. Listen, most movie critics, YouTubers, podcasters alike, we pay out of our own pocket to get to these things. The studios aren't paying us to go see these movies, okay? Sometimes there's cool swag and stuff. They did give away free posters at the end, like mini posters, just like your local AMC or Regal does. But we're not paid for blurbs. We're not paid for reviews, LoySauce. But yes.
That would be great if we were.
I keep saying that. Like, listen, dude, if you want to pay me to go see this fucking movie, you want to pay me, I would never be paid for an opinion, but that's why a few weeks back, a totally different movie, I forget which one it was. I think it was Ballerina a few months ago, whatever. There was an embargo thing where they literally said, like, do not tweet or post about this movie unless it's positive for 2 weeks. And the movie did perfectly fine at the box office. I didn't see many people hating on Ballerina, but that was the first time where a studio actually did do that. So I understand some perspective from the general audience in terms of being weary of critical standpoints on films and calling things, calling movies a certain way with, a little hyperbole. But
well, I think what our listeners can always count on is that we will give our honest opinions no matter what. I mean, I feel like us as Epic Film Guys have integrity, and we'll always, we'll always be honest and forthcoming with.
Bro, I'm honest as fuck.
Opinions.
I don't give a shit. If I like something, I like it.
That being said, you were saying before I rudely interrupted you that Superman's a winner.
No, that's okay, Lex. You're in Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor vibe right now. I could just feel it. I could see you seething with venom, with your eyes welling up with hatred. No, yes, I really, really walked out of the theater with a huge smile. I just couldn't have had a better time with Superman. I think this really is, in my viewpoint, the Superman movie we've all been waiting for. It's not perfect. I hate to say that because a lot of people are using that. A lot of critics will use that when there's issues with the movie, but I didn't have many issues with the movie at all. I don't think it's an overwrite masterpiece or anything, or one of the greatest movies of all time. Do I think it's, one of the best Superman movies of all time, or maybe the second best right next to the original? Probably. I'll have to say that. And this is coming from a guy that loves Man of Steel. That was my favorite, Superman iteration ever. And that's why a lot of Snyder fans, it's always funny, they come after me. I'm like, bro, you don't even know. I was defending those fucking movies before, you were basically even in the fandom at all. But
before you were born.
I digress, because I don't want to make that a thing, but I will say, right, I have a lot of appreciation. I'm forever grateful. Warner Brothers actually used my quote as part of the marketing. I posted my blurb about it late last night. Was super excited about the movie and couldn't sleep well. And then around 6 a.m., someone sent me a message and they were like, dude, yep, very nice graphic with Superman flying above my blurb. It was pretty amazing. That's the
really
second
exciting
one this year, man. The second one this year. So just got to show some appreciation to our fans, our listeners, and everyone that's continued to support Epic Film Guys in our 11 years of doing this thing. But we're going to do our best to not spoil anything major about Superman. The trailers have shown quite a bit, but I was wrong. It didn't show everything. There's a lot that you don't get to see in the trailers. The first thing,
everything, but I remember when I after I saw the movie, I didn't tell you, you know, specific things about the movie, but I did say I wish I had seen one less
Sure.
trailer.
That's why I stopped
Because,
watching clips.
well, yeah, and then it seemed like they released a clip like every day leading up to the film.
Which they
I was
didn't
like,
need to do. The
they
hype was
really did.
already there. I mean, the marketing machine, and I have to give kudos to Warner Brothers. This is some of the best marketing for a comic book movie I've seen in years. Every poster has been good. The posters have all been really cool. The imagery, the marketing materials. They didn't need to release all these clips. I'm really getting sick of movies releasing clips like every week leading up to the release of a movie. You don't need to, dude. Release 1 or 2 clips or something if that's what you want to do. But
And I don't watch television, but every single time I looked at a TV when I'm at a bar or restaurant
I
or something,
know,
it's like
but
constant commercial.
it just goes to show not only the confidence, but I wouldn't even say that they're desperate, but they need this to work. James Gunn, DC Studios, what he took on to make this movie, he wrote it himself, he directed it himself. He's the head and president of DC Studios, a department of Warner Brothers. He has full carte blanche to do whatever he wants. But he had an uphill battle to do this. I think overall, after watching the movie, he earned it. He's the right guy for the job. I really think after watching the movie, he nailed everything that I would want out of a Superman movie. And that leads me to the most important part of that, which is Superman himself, played here by David Corenswet. I don't like to pat myself on the back often, LoySauce, but I remember, you might not remember, but I remember when they were talking about them recasting Superman. Much like a lot of other fans, I was upset that Henry wasn't coming back. I was deeply upset over it. But then I realized you don't want to see Henry Superman in a Superman movie that doesn't fit his style and his tone, his vibe. So if we're going to move on and do something new, feel free. Let's go ahead with it. And David Corenswet was actually on my list. We had just seen Pearl, and I was like, that guy's Superman. Like his voice, his mannerisms, his hair. He had that.
He's like the most handsome man alive.
He absolutely is a gorgeous man. I mean, let's be all the actors that have played Superman, except for Dean Cain. Fuck that guy. He was handsome during his day in the 90s, but they've all been handsome. All of the Supermen we've seen have been handsome. But David Corenswet absolutely fully embodies the spirit, captures the tone, and every single thing that you'd want from your modern Superman. He's still a Boy Scout. He's still golly OG. He's still saving squirrels and dogs. And he's still doing his best. There's moments where you can tell he wants to curse, but he's Superman, so he doesn't. When he gets frustrated.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think there was a concerted effort to make Superman an actual character. So he is he is a quote Boy Scout, but he has he has a bit of a temper. He's impulsive. He has character flaws that are acknowledged within the script and embodied in the performance. And I think that is a very refreshing change from some of and again, no shade. I know that there are fans of the Snyder films, and I hope they don't,
I mean, you yourself, you love Snyder's Justice League. You love it.
Well, sure.
So, yeah.
But you watch Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, and you get a Superman who's just kind of mopey, and you never really see him connect with an on the ground human being. Whereas here you have him interacting with
children,
local
embracing
vendor,
children. I mean, after the kaiju attack, for example, kids run to him, to hug him.
And
he's approachable. Yeah.
Character. And so that's really what the element is that's been missing. I mean, it's my opinion that there hasn't really been a great Superman movie since arguably 1980. And James Gunn has never made a bad movie. We've seen his track record with comic book adaptations, but both Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad were both kind of like, your ragtag team of anti-heroes. So I did kind of wonder going in how that would translate to Superman. But I don't think I needn't have worried, because I think this is a movie that is fitting of this this iconic character that's been a part of our shared cultural DNA for like nearly 100 years. It does feel bright. It does feel optimistic. It does feel like this kind of return to this retro feeling of hope and heroism. Remember when you walked out of a superhero movie and you felt uplifted, like you just felt good coming out of the theater?
I mean, we
it's been a long time for me.
Yeah, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, a lot of people are comparing those to this, and I agree. I felt that comparison. Those were like those movies for me, at least the first two, not three. I was walking out fucking crying and screaming. But seriously though, it has that same vibe, and that was a great feeling to walk out, just like a kid will do. They'll put their arm to the sky and go, dun, 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 I'm Superman. And that's what the movie is supposed to do. It's what it should do. And it gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. I won't even lie. Danielle, for those that don't know, my wife, she's not a big Superman fan, right? She went in not even like that excited for it. And she walked out and she was like, I thought it was great. So I mean, that just goes to show that you can take a Superman novice like her and show her the movie and she'll enjoy it, because this movie is very open to be enjoyed by every single age group, every person, every race, ethnicity, background. This is a movie that is open for everybody, basically. And that's what you need for Superman. It's an approachable character. You want to make something that is accessible.
I just imagine like a 6-year-old kid in the theater watching Man of Steel.
And this is their first superhero movie. Like, well, I know. I mean, this, I can see where this could be like what Batman 89 was for me, for a 5 or 6 year old seeing this for the first time. And this is a movie where they can go see it. It's PG-13. There's some intense stuff going on, but
and I felt this is a nitpick. A lot of my criticisms of the film are going to be like little things, but I do feel like there was a little bit too much kind of Gunn likes to have a lot of like kind of double entendres, and there's a lot of like shit and bitch, and
there's not that much.
I was surprised. I was like, okay, there are going to be kids watching this, and there's some spicy language sprinkled in here.
They hear more of that when they're sitting on the couch with their mom and they're watching Real Housewives of New Jersey or whatever the fuck. I'm telling you.
Fair.
Or YouTube themselves when they're looking at their phones while they're out at dinner with their parents. Video games too. So I get what you're saying.
I'm no prude, but I
thought it was extremely mild. You and I harp on every new horror movie for so much foul language. This thing was the most mild-mannered.
This isn't a horror movie.
Mild-mannered as Clark Kent. I'm just saying, like, it's not.
No, the overall attitude of the movie.
It's not super mouthy,
squeaky clean, but there's some dialogue. I was just surprised that it, and some gestures and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I'm surprised.
Well, something I'm sure you love, there's cleavage in the movie. We don't get much from Lois Lane herself, Rachel Brosnahan, who's also brilliant in the movie, has wonderful chemistry with David, I think, as both Clark and Superman. That scene where you see it in the trailer where she interviews him as Superman for the first time, a very charming scene. I loved that. Definitely harkened back to Margot Kidder's Lois Lane interviewing Chris Reeves' Superman in the original film. I just loved that it had that same kind of feeling, but in a modern way. And I just thought she was a standout as well. The whole cast here, let's be very clear, I don't think there was a single casting mistake in this whole movie.
No, Brosnahan's very charming. I don't think I've seen her in anything else before. I know she's an established actress, but to me, she was...
Watch more fucking movies, LoySauce.
Well, she was fresh to me, a fresh face, and her Lois is savvy and spunky and everything you would want Lois Lane to be. Again, like... And
hard-edged, too, as well.
Yeah,
she's willing capable. To go places. She's willing to do. I mean, Amy Adams did a lot of that stuff too, but I like that they kept, like, people like to shit on her Lois Lane. I loved her Lois Lane, but I really thought Rachel nailed the character, knocked it out of the park.
Oh, for sure. Especially again with this this tone that they're going for. It's pretty perfect, and she has great chemistry with David. I mean, you could definitely tell that they were cast based on their chemistry,
and they make out wonderfully on screen. Lots of good making out.
Hell yeah.
I'm telling you, there was some tongue there with Superman and Lois. I was like, well, damn, they're going there. So for PG-13 for kids, the kids might be like, ew, a little bit, but I mean, when they went for it, they were like,
no, man. It's a kissing book.
Just saying, they kiss in the comics, right? So
sure they do.
But Lex Luthor, we have to talk about Nicholas Hoult. Like I said, he seething with anger. He camps it a little bit. I think it's hard to not when you consider that that's what Gene Hackman did in the original.
Oh
So that's
yeah.
kind of part of the DNA of Lex Luthor.
Well, Jesse Eisenberg, there's kind of a good kind of bridging of the Gene Hackman, uh, you know, and then the Lex that you see in the cartoons, and then the Jesse Eisenberg. Like there's kind of Nicholas Hoult kind of embodies all of the best qualities of those
Absolutely. He took
performances.
the best of all of them. And at first I was kind of a little taken back because he was a little campy, but then you see throughout the rest of the movie his hatred continue to grow and his eyes welling up and tearing up with him like
He's
with
so bad.
murderous venom where he literally wants to kill Superman. Like that's, and you can feel it. And it is cartoony. The movie is cartoony. Let's be clear. It's very much Justice League cartoon, but he's
There's
a hateful guy, and we see some stuff happen that is very serious. Like some people get killed, that it's very serious. So it's not like he's just playing games or anything. Like you see him literally murder someone cold blood.
Yeah. Well, and also his kind of steeliness too. Like I'm sure people have seen that clip where Superman barges into Lex's office demanding to know where crypto is. And Superman's just screaming in Lex's face, and Lex is just completely unfazed,
Deadpan, dude. He's
undeterred.
sipping his drink, his coffee, and just doesn't even care. He's not threatened by Superman at all, which I loved.
Well, he is, but in a way that like it makes sense for Lex's character. I mean, Superman is an idealist, and Lex is, a megalomaniac, and of course there is some commentary like he's the Elon Musk, he's the Jeff Bezos. At some point, someone indicates that Lex wants to make himself king.
Yeah, he wants to be the king of the desert or something he's trying to do.
Which, of course, all of these no kings marches and protests happening around Donald Trump right now. There's also a very strong kind of through line about war profiteering in the movie, about how these billionaires involved in the tech industry, using their funds to fuel these conflicts that they benefit from. So, I mean, this is a Superman movie of the moment for sure. And there are going to be lots of people online who are going to be, well, and all of the news and stuff telling people that this movie has an agenda, or, I saw something from Fox News, like, we don't go to the theater to be lectured to. I don't think this is a movie that lectures to anyone, but if you're looking to be mad about something,
yeah,
this movie will definitely push your buttons, because it is an immigrant story. It is a story about truth, justice, and the American way being like, this is the American dream. It's an immigrant who, kind of shows us how it is to be kind to one another. Like basic human kindness is depicted, and that's something that we all need right now, because everything's so volatile, everything's so black and white. We need this story, and we need this character right now. And James Gunn, he's just tapped into it. He knew exactly how to approach this character. And if people are going to be angry and mad about it and say like, how dare you politicize Superman, who from the very beginning, he's been an illegal alien trying to immigrate into American society. Like, if you're going to be mad about that, like, I don't know. Lex Luthor has always been a tech billionaire. He's always been kind of the CEO who just hates the fact that Superman exists and wants to see him destroyed. So this is baked into the identity of these characters. And so there's really, if you're going to be mad about that, go have fun, but I can't join you. I'll be over here enjoying my silly comic book movie.
The movie is extremely political, but none of that took away from any of my enjoyment, regardless of which side you're on. I hate that our whole society right now is that way, where even within the fandom, it's like, you're either on this side or that side. Motherfucker, I'm not on either side. I'm me. And there's got to be nuance to these discussions about whether it's politics or movies or you name it, whatever it is. There's a bigger conversation to be had about all this stuff, and people just don't want to have that. They just want it to be black and white, and that's just not how things are. And this movie says a lot about that, and I think talks about the struggles that Superman has to deal with in a modern society such as this, where there's this war in Baravia. He has to deal with this, where he stops this war, this invasion. Lois and everyone in the world is questioning him for doing so. And much like you see in the trailer, him saying like, I'm not doing this under any agenda. I'm doing this because I
It's the
want to
right thing
do
to
good.
do.
It's the right
Yeah.
thing to do. People were going to die. And that's something that Superman has to deal with continuously in his career as the world's most iconic superhero. This guy's got a struggle to deal with. And I like that they gave him this much along the lines of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. This guy's got real life problems, right? He doesn't just
Yes.
throw on the red cape, fly around, beat up bad guys and go back home and, eat his Wheaties and he's good to go. He's got shit to deal with. He has the public pressure to deal with, social media, which is a thing, hashtag super shit, which I thought was pretty funny. We find out later that that's something Lex did, which we're not going to spoil everything, but I do have to bring up that
there's some light ribbing of fan community online,
fan community trolls and just trolls in general. But there's squirrels in the movie. They're trained squirrels, and I thought that, or monkeys rather. I was thinking of the squirrel that he saves, but they're monkeys, dude, and they're like set up to
smashing on keyboards
to constantly tweet super shit and hate on Superman, which that is a thing. There are bots out there just talking shit about things constantly. But we have to get to, I think, one of the most important elements of the movie, which is the action, right? Which I found very dynamic, very exciting. Every flying scene I thought blew me out of the water. Gunn had mentioned in the press that he really took to Top Gun Maverick as a massive influence for the flying sequences, and I thought they were beautiful to watch.
Well, the camera is just swooping all around. It really follows the action in a way that's dynamic and exciting. And I will admit that Snyder really kind of upped the game on how action was depicted in a Superman movie on screen, which we had never really seen. I mean, they did what they could in the 70s, and Superman Returns had no action to speak of. So
he lifts like a, he lifts some stuff, and he saves a plane, and which is still one of the best Superman scenes ever. But yeah, I digress.
Yeah, but when you watch Man of Steel and you just hear these punches, these boom, these like big punches, and you get the sense of scale and the sense of really what these superpowered characters can do when they throw down. And this follows in that tradition where the action is big. It's like I said, it's dynamic, but it's not over the top. It's not. You felt like drained by the action in Man of Steel, whereas here again, it's very uplifting. It's very exciting. It's and there's a lot of care taken in how the shots are staged and how everything looks. There's no shaky cam. There's no snap zooms. It's very like you can see everything that's happening, and
it flows very organically.
Very
well. And fun to watch. Absolutely. I mean, the kaiju fight is amazing to watch.
Well, a lot of the kind of more heightened elements, because there are giant monsters, there's parallel dimensions, there's all kinds
of weird shit, man. There's really crazy stuff out there. Like it's James Gunn, you expected it, but the tone is.
It reminded me a lot of like the Max Fleischer cartoons.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
it's like Superman fights a giant dinosaur. Superman fights.
It's
robots,
normal if just like a random alien just like floats in the air towards. You know what I mean? It's just like I love that Gunn does that. This is a world that, and I have to mention this to those that haven't seen it. Obviously, that most people haven't seen it yet, but the opening of the movie kind of gives you not an opening crawl, but it was rumored it was going to be there. But it kind of fills you in on where we're at here, how long Superman's been here, where he's at now, where he's been in the last 3 days, like, and then it
drops you right in the middle of the
action. It drops Superman right into the movie
for sure. And I mean, it does kind of have to do a lot of exposition to kind of catch you up on everything, because the one character, the architect, what's her name, the
engineer,
yes, where she basically says like, I sacrificed my own humanity to destroy Superman to get back at Superman. I'm like, oh, that's okay, that's the backstory we're getting for that character.
Dude, she is a massive badass though.
She is, but
visually and just character wise, you don't know much about her except for she works for Lex, but I didn't really need to know more about that other than the fact that she's like basically hired muscle for Lex, but you get some awesome visuals from her.
It's like picking up an issue of a comic book, or watching if you're not following every episode of, whatever, Justice League or the Superman animated series, like, you may not get everything, but you can, you're kind of dropped into the world, and you can be like,
Yeah, if a
okay, like,
character
it's not
pops in,
jarring
yeah,
necessarily.
you're
but
like, okay, it's I don't need but like I said before, Gunn is known for juggling lots of characters very well. The Guardians movies proved that. The Suicide Squad proved that.
The
And
Suicide Squad, I just rewatched that recently. Every single character in that movie has an arc, no matter
yeah,
what. And think about how many characters are in the Suicide Squad. It's like a lot. It's a
he
lot
does
to
he does an
juggle.
amazing job here. And you don't lose Superman. That's the one thing I want to let our listeners know, because people were worried, like, with all these different characters, we're gonna have Guy Gardner in here, we're gonna have Mr. Terrific, we're gonna have so many characters. Are we gonna lose Superman in the mix? Is he gonna lose focus? No, he's always still the main focus throughout the entire movie. It is a Superman movie. It's called Superman for a reason. So luckily, we have an amazing ensemble, amazing actors. Everyone's great here, but we don't lose Superman. So we're very thankful for that. But we do have some standouts, but I'll get to them in a few minutes. I just wanted to mention the fight scenes are awesome. I want to keep pushing that forward, because I'm not going to spoil the ending climax fight scene, but it's fucking awesome. It's amazing. It's just so well done and exciting. And everyone has seen who he's fighting for a lot of the movie. There's Hammer Baravia, and there's Ultraman, and let's just say things aren't as they seem, and we get some really cool surprises, and those surprises will probably make most Superman fans jump out of their seat and cheer in the air and just fist bump that whole shit, man. Just couldn't have been happier with that. But Superman in those fight scenes, I just want to warn people, he gets his ass kicked a lot in the movie, right? So he's not like invincible in this movie. So
Well, that's kind of the paradox of anyone who's creating a Superman story. How do you make him vulnerable when he has
and relatable?
Yeah, when he's for all intents and purposes indestructible. How do we kind of bring that character back down to earth, so to speak? And so, I mean, from the very start of the movie, he's getting his ass handed to him, and which makes his ultimate triumph so satisfying, so triumphant, because he you kind of are waiting, and the movie does make you wait to see him finally kick ass. And when he does, it's like you're wanting to stand up and cheer.
It's amazingly done when you finally get to that point. And I'm not saying he doesn't get any punches in or anything, but just when he finally gets there, and he's, because he's put through a lot in the movie, he gets hurt so many times. He's constantly trying to maintain his superpowers and his health while going through all these challenges. And so that's the point that I wanted to make there. But I wanted to mention, before I get to some of the other characters, the only thing I felt was missing, one of the only things, is, like I said, not enough Clark and Lois, not enough Clark at the Daily Planet. I do agree with you, because we had talked previous to this about it. You saw it before I got a chance to see it. And I just couldn't find a spot in the movie where it would make sense to have more Clark at the Daily Planet, because he's always as Superman out doing shit. They're putting him through so much. I'm like, how does he have time to be like reporting on stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I do wish there was more Clark in the movie. I understand. I mean, the movie's called Superman, and the movie does focus on Superman. But even Cornsweat's performance as Clark, I wasn't entirely sold on. And I don't know if that's because we got so little of it, but like, I don't know. Again, maybe it was him trying to differentiate himself from how other actors have portrayed Clark in the past, but he kind of, it seemed like he was like deepening, like trying to lower his voice.
I didn't notice that.
Clark.
I didn't notice that.
I don't know. Maybe when you watch it again, you'll see what I mean. But his voice as Superman is higher than his voice when he's trying to act as Clark. And I don't know exactly. It might have been just to kind of differentiate himself from other versions or other depictions of the character. But
he still did the same thing that Reeve did. He still hunches over. He has one arm lower than the other.
The body
has kind of like a
right.
gangly looking, the way his posture is. So he kind of like, doesn't have that where he puffs his chest out and walks straight, with his shoulders back like Superman does. Superman does that the whole movie when he's in the suit, no matter what he's going through. If he's sitting next to children, regular people are walking by him, he's just standing that all hero pose.
The body language was right.
Yeah.
I just, again, the brief scene that we do get with him as Clark, it felt like he was trying to put on this kind of like deep voice, whereas as Superman, even from the one trailer where she's like, Lois says, "Do you want me to interview you right now?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm
Well,
doing
there is a
important
switch there.
stuff."
I liked that there was a switch there in that
Yeah.
scene, because he switches from Clark, but no, not visually. He's still in the same clothes, but to Superman, and I liked that. I thought he did a brilliant job. I liked his
No,
Clark,
I
but
love.
in his Clark too, when he goes back with Mom and Pa Kent in Kansas, when he goes there, you see more of his Clark, and I thought it was better than the stuff you see, because there's three versions. There's Superman, there's public Clark at the Daily Planet, and then there's Clark at home with Ma and Pa Ken. And I thought, so he had to play like almost three different versions of that in a way. Those scenes were very short lived. Again, would have liked more of them, but I understand what the movie is. Not a long movie at all whatsoever. I believe it's like it's only 129
2
minutes.
hours. Yeah, 2 hours 10 minutes. Yeah,
which is perfect. I don't think we needed a longer movie, but I loved the little bits we did get, like of him as Clark. So I would have liked to seen more, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get more in the future. We got enough. Right. I mean,
for this movie,
yeah, he's got to be out constantly doing stuff. What do you want him sitting at his desk writing articles, or do you want him, out beating kaiju ass with the Justice Gang, which I have to get to now. We obviously have an ensemble of metahumans here. We've got Guy Gardner's Green Lantern. We have Hawkgirl, and we have Mr. Terrific, which gotta say, never really thought much about that character, played by Edie Gathegi in this movie. But Mr. Terrific is amazing. Like every scene that he's in just steals it instantly. Like he's got like this deadpan look on his face the whole time. He's like, I don't like emotions. when Lois is trying to talk about, and the thing is, they all know that Superman is Clark already. So that's a thing. Then they work with him. They're kind of part of a team, but they're not really. And it's not an official thing or anything. This isn't the Justice League, but they clearly, people have seen in the trailers, like with the kaiju fight, some other scenes, like they help out. They're doing their thing. There's even scenes we see, which we can talk about it. We might as well. We've complained a lot about the first released image of Superman that we got. A lot of fans hated it. I didn't care for it much myself. It was him, like, it looked like he was sitting putting his boots on, like he was about to go do something, and in the background through the window you could see like what looked like an alien or something. You can explain what it actually is.
It's like a cosmic light show of sorts. Like it was hard.
He called it an imp. He called it an imp or something.
Yeah, dimensional imp.
Yeah.
Very weird first introduction to the character, because first of all, when you looked at the image, it's like he doesn't look very pressed. He doesn't look very like he's going to dive out the window and swoop into action and save the day. It looks like he's doing it kind of begrudgingly. And there's this threat in the background, like outside, that you're not even really sure what it is. And then when you watch the movie, it makes it even more curious that was the first official look of the character, because he's not even involved in that scene.
He's not even involved in it. He's just like, they can take care of that. They're good. To be fair, he is dealing with something pretty serious at that time, and he's trying to figure out, with crypto, and there's this whole storyline of,
the public perception
of Superman, and Lex's whole idea is to change that.
I did feel like that was a little cheesy pie, a little Saturday morning cartoon, where like the public turns on him instantly. Like obviously they're trying to make a statement about how quickly people are swayed.
That's the way the world is today.
But I was like,
it was pretty true to form.
And that could be, but I just felt like literally on a dime, the entire like public temperature around Superman changes completely
within minutes.
But that's the thing too, that I wanted to make mention of. There is we're not going to say what it is because this is a spoiler-free review, but there is a change to Superman's origin.
Yes,
that I feel like I'm very interested to see if comic book fans especially are gonna, because it kind of left me with a bad taste in my mouth for a little while until I realized what the movie was kind of actually about and why that change was made by Gunn, because it's kind of shocking. And then you realize that like, oh, well, maybe this is a misdirect. Maybe this is, trickery by the villains to make Superman look bad, but no,
it's not.
So like, I was like really surprised in a way that it's kind of a dark surprise, but ultimately it leads to a kind of thematic through line about like, you know, parentage and you know, being someone like not aligning with who you think you're destined to be, but being like carving your own path and being your uh, own person. So I
Yeah.
thought that was very effective,
There's an
and
amazing,
ultimately it's the heart of the movie. But
yeah.
I was kind of shocked that it was going in that direction for a
Well,
while.
I'll say we can't say much about that because I don't want to spoil that. The
Right,
rumors have already been out there regarding some of these things and who plays his Kryptonian parents and such. But
right.
it didn't bother me too badly because the movie moves right along from it. And then it's another challenge that Superman/Clark has to deal with and a struggle he has. And then we have an amazing scene with Pa Kent on the farm. And I thought I
Yeah,
teared
love
up.
that.
I
Yeah.
teared up, thought it was brilliant. And I'm tearing up now thinking about it, honestly. That's what Superman's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel all kinds of emotions, positive ones, happy ones, and I really connected with that scene a lot. And it's so I didn't mind that change at all. And there are some surprises in the movie, I'll say that. But I think someone we needed to talk about was Crypto, which
Yeah.
there was a lot of discourse on social media as soon as we saw that a little white CGI dog was going to be in the movie, and then it's not the normal breed either that you would see from the comics, which is usually I think like a lab or that kind of dog.
Well, James Gunn modeled it after his
After
own dog.
his rescue dog, which he said was a terror, and he said, "What would it be like if?" Apparently, this is the whole idea he got to make the movie. Is like, what would it be like if Superman had a really terrible superhuman dog that wouldn't behave? Which it's so funny to think because they nailed Crypto as a real dog because it acted a lot like my one dog Valentine and it acted a lot like my other dog Zeke, and they're both crazy. And the things it would do were hilarious. I think kids are going to love Crypto, and even adults too. I thought it was very charming. It was very funny. And
Well, it's
Crypto gets,
definitely like it definitely appeals to the dog lovers in the audience.
and who's
I
not a dog
imagine.
lover? I mean, come
Well,
on, man.
right. I mean, I imagine I didn't see the movie with a packed audience, but I imagine if there were a packed audience, there would be lots
There
of
were a lot of
ahs
ahs and there were a lot of cheers because
That's very
Crypto,
smart on James
yeah,
Gunn's part.
he kicks some ass, dude. He kicks
Yeah.
some ass. He steals the show on a few occasions, and there's a whole scene. Again, it's not a huge spoiler, but there's this line that brains over brawn, and Superman Lex says it, and then a few minutes later, Superman says it, and it's one of the most crowd audience inducing moments of the whole movie. It absolutely like made the whole place cheer and go for broke with that. So all that stuff worked. Another thing that has to be brought up because it's extremely crucial. We all heard in the teaser, we heard the teaser track of the brand new Superman theme. Superman, his theme is just as important as the red cape and the S on his chest. I think we've been forever connected with John Williams' iconic score, which I think is brilliant. I also love Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel score. I love them equally. I love them for their different reasons. I think they're both wonderful. One is more bombastic and aggressive, but also beautiful and ethereal. And Williams is just a classic superhero, bright, cheerful score. Gives you goosebumps, right? And I've luckily been able to hear both of them done with live orchestra. One Hans Zimmer when he did his concert series, and then I got to hear at the John Williams birthday event at the Kennedy Center, they did a medley of all of his different themes, and I got to hear the Superman theme with him in the audience, and I literally cried. It was beautiful. But we have now a version by John Murphy and David Fleming, which kind of brings in the classic notes in the theme into a new score. What did you think of it overall?
I would love the opportunity to listen to the score independently of the film because there was at least a new recognizable Superman theme kind of interpolated with the classic, melody that we all know. There's a little tiny part of me that is disappointed, a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to hear the full march, like in full, maybe over the credits or something. Like I was kind of waiting to hear it kind of kick into gear.
Yeah, it never really gets there. There's a lot of awesome heroic moments in the movie.
Because the movie ends, and this is not necessarily a spoiler, but it ends on a pop song, and it's a fitting pop
I'd
song.
I'd call it a pop punk song, kind of.
But it
Yeah.
has that kind of Superman, the classic credits that remind you of the Richard
Of
Donner film.
so you were wanting that nostalgic music to go along with the nostalgic
It would have been the
visuals.
perfect. It would have been the perfect thing if they had waited
Mm.
throughout the entire film and then at the end hit you with that theme, so you're leaving the
I
theater like
agree.
dun,
I
dun, dun, dun,
agree. I
dun.
agree.
So
And even the ending itself, excuse me, even the ending shots, it's a wonderful character moment, but it's not what you expect. It's not, you're not going to see the same ending you've seen from all the other Superman movies.
which I was fine with.
I was fine
I
with that. I
actually
was like, okay. Even though part of me was like, I was waiting for it, then because there's 2 post-credit scenes, and one of them is a really beautiful scene, and another one is
seen in the trailers though.
and another one is just letting people know right now it's nothing leading up to any other movies or anything. It's just like kind of a fun jokey scene, which was fine. But if you liked the movie a lot, like I did, then you probably want to stay to see both for sure. You're already there. You do hear some money's
worth.
So you hear more of their you do hear more of their score per se, but I liked how it was integrated into the music, and I liked that it did actually capture that modern Hans Zimmer-esque vibe at times with the drums and the heavy toms and dun, 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 and then of course we get the Williams theme peppered in with that. It did a pretty good job. I can't say that it's my favorite Superman score, but I think it blended well with the visuals, and I am counting the days until Water Tower Music releases it on iTunes so I can listen to the whole damn thing by itself, because I'm ready to do that right now. Before we sat down to record this, I was listening to the only 2 tracks they've released over and over and over again. So, but I think we've kind of captured almost every single thing without spoiling the movie for people. Spoiler. There's a tongue twister there somewhere. I'm just getting so excited about seeing Superman again. Because it's that kind of movie. It absolutely is that summer blockbuster where you're like, man, I can't wait to see that again. But was there anything else in closing that you wanted to bring up in terms of character or moments or anything at all that you wanted to bring up before we trash this or treasure it?
Oh man. I mean, we mentioned Mr. Terrific. He has the best action scene in the whole movie. I loved the dynamic between him and Nathan Fillion and Isabella Merced. Like the 3 of them have this back and forth, and that's the thing about James Gunn, is that like a lot of his dialogue can be kind of jokey and kind of self-referential, but he's really good at creating like distinctive characters who each have their own personalities and their own voices. I mean, that's what makes the Guardians of the Galaxy movies work. I mean, you have Dave Bautista as Drax, and then you have like Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. Those are 2 entirely distinct characters that work together as a unit, and that's definitely what I felt from the characters in this movie. It just, like I said, it just makes you feel good when you have like a movie that's populated by likable characters. I mean, Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen. I mean, I loved him.
He's a standout. I wanted to bring him up. I loved how they characterized him as a ladies' man. It's essential to the plot, though. It's extremely essential to the plot.
Literally, yeah.
I've loved him in everything. I even love him as Tommy Doyle in Rob Zombie's Halloween remake. He's been around for that long as a little kid. Santa Clarita Diet,
Wet Hot American Summer.
The Righteous Gemstones. He's amazing in everything. Absolutely love him. He was so funny in the movie. A lot of the great comic relief came from him in a subtle way too. It's not super over the top and I have to give a mention of that. The humor in the movie works for the most part. Not all of it works, but I think it is James Gunn's sense of humor. So, that's going to go one way or the other with you, but I think it mostly worked for me and I laughed a lot. The crowd was cheering and you got a lot of laughs from that. It's not overly done. It's not as jokey as the Guardians movies or anything like that. It's not constant cracking jokes, and Superman himself is serious enough,
Right.
And so in closing, I did want to mention one thing, but I'm just going to throw it to you first for your final thoughts. And are you going to trash this or are you going to treasure Superman?
This is kind of an instant treasure for me. I mean, I did not think the movie was perfect. Again, I've mentioned some things here and there that I think the movie could have, tightened a few screws and it could have been like a practically perfect movie. But I do think that to have a superhero hero to look up to who wants to serve humanity and make the world a better place. I feel like that kind of worldview going in is was essential, like paramount to making this movie work. And I feel
Absolutely.
like James Gunn, like I said, he had the right idea, he had the right vision, and I'm glad that Warner Brothers took a chance on him and said, you know, we believe in you, make your movie, and
Let him do his thing.
yeah, let him cook. And yeah, I think you know, it is kind of, like I said, it's kind of a return to when you would go see a superhero movie and you would kind of have like a life affirming kind of like uplifting
Yeah.
experience. It's a movie that I feel like everyone or most people could enjoy and will enjoy. And I hesitate to uh, I hesitate to look at towards the future too much because I don't want this to become what the Marvel movies have now become, where it's like constantly teasing the next thing, the next Avengers movie or the next whatever, bringing in this character and this character and this character. This movie did not feel like that to me. Like, of course we get cameos, of course we get hints at what's to come,
We get
but it never
surprise characters. We do.
it didn't get bogged down in this is the start of a cinematic universe. It felt kind of like a fresh blank page of paper that Gunn then um, colored in with all sorts of like splash panels and you know, the framing of all of the different action shots and everything. Like, it felt like a comic book to me. So you know, it's a treasure for me for sure.
Absolutely. Follow in lock and step with you. I loved Superman. I really did. Can't say enough how much I walked out feeling great. Takes me back to the old days of being a kid and going to see this kind of movie and seeing a hero on screen you can look up to and connect with and relate to. And,
What did
you
Kevin
want to,
Smith say? Like, people just want to believe in a fucking thing. Like,
yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
this movie does for
And
sure.
I believed in David Corenswet as Superman. In my humble opinion, I think he is the definitive Superman for a new generation, just as Chris Reeve was a definitive Superman for another generation. He's always going to be considered the greatest. I don't think anyone's ever going to be surpassed in that way. We haven't had
No.
a lot of Superman characters or actors rather play the character and really come close, but I think David did, and he captured everything that Chris did, but did some different things too, and really molded and shaped his own Superman. And I got to mention the suit because we didn't talk about the costumes. I wasn't a huge fan of the costume originally, but it grew on me. Okay, like listen,
Yeah.
I have the McFarlane figure here. I like it enough to buy the toy, right? I got the
The
poster.
cape is awesome.
The cape is amazing. Most of it was CG, but the cape is beautiful. It could have done without being super foldy in the midsection and stuff. And I would have liked, I don't care. I don't mind James Gunn. I don't mind sculpted abs a little bit, but overall, I was happy with the suit. He looks great in it. The action, what he's doing with the suit is wonderful. The cast was awesome. The action, the fight scenes. Again, what else do you want out of a Superman movie? I literally felt like everything that I would hope for and want out of a Superman movie, a modern, new, fresh take on the character is what I got here. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is a treasure for me. That is it for our spoiler-free review of Superman. I'm not sure if we're going to do a full spoiler yet or not. We'll see what you guys think. Let us know in the comments. But if this is your first time listening to the Epic Film Guys, thanks for checking us out. And if you're a longtime listener, we love you so, so much. Thank you for continuing to support us and what we do and listening every single week. We're available on social media and every single platform at Epic Film Guys. And like I said, you can hear the podcast wherever you find your podcasts. So until next time, I'm just reeling here. I'm reeling, man. I was supposed to go see it again tonight at the Amazon early thing, but I am so tired because I got no sleep after the screening. So I was so excited. So I'm going to wait, maybe see it at like Airbus Smithsonian IMAX this weekend or Dolby or something and let myself breathe a little bit. But again, I'm Justin. LoySauce, thanks once again for joining me for Superman. You're the best. You're our resident Lex Luthor over here.
That makes me sound like an asshole.
No, sometimes.
No, sometimes, I guess. But yeah, thanks for having me. And, long live Superman.
Long live Superman. And until next time, we'll see you at the movies.